unstable country. The war on terror is going to become just another civil war. I mean, Pakistan could end up becoming another civil war, and I think we already have created enough civil wars in the world. We don't need one more.
Oh yeah, certainly. So now that you said the assembly is being seated, these attorneys have been released, most of them, but is it only the Chief Justice that remains under arrest, or are there others still?
I believe there are probably a couple other judges that are still under house arrest, but the Chief Justice is the main focus right now. That is under house arrest. So that's where the work needs to be done. Oh, interestingly, Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren has also introduced a resolution in the U.S. Congress asking that the judiciary be restored to the pre-November 3, 2007 level. And we're looking for, I think that would be a good resolution to support to get the judiciary restored in Pakistan.
So can we help in any way, and what should we do here in the United States?
Well, I think Pakistan has been since Pakistan was created, it joined the U.S. in SEATO and CENTO and has been a very, very strong ally of Pakistan. Remember, these are the days when you had the Soviet Union and the U.S. On two sides. While India was more in the Russian force, Pakistan totally committed itself to the U.S. and would not even talk to the Soviet Union. In the war against Russia in Afghanistan, Pakistan was at the forefront. And the Pakistani people have a lot of love and respect for the U.S. So it's a good, stable area to support. I mean, they speak English, they understand what's going on, they understand the Western culture. What we can do is make sure that the democracy succeeds in Pakistan. And to do that, the judiciary has to be restored. We should. I think a simple thing we can do is support the Zoe Lofgren's resolution, ask the U.S. Congress to restore the judiciary to the pre-November 2007 level, and have the money used for education that is being sent in Pakistan rather than all being given to the military. And the generals have built huge houses for themselves. I mean, they're enjoying the funds that they're getting.
Yeah.
So we need to move towards that.
So we here could encourage our legislators throughout the state, throughout the country, to support this resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a must. Otherwise, you're going to have a real civil strife situation that could develop.
But Pakistan has not been held up as a model of democracy. Look at Musharraf himself has not been a real democrat. We've had an election that seems to have been fair. What do you think the chances are that a stable and continuing democracy will develop in Pakistan?
Well, Pakistan has had elections before. Democratic governments have been elected, but then they've been thrown out. And one reason they have, and I have to get back to the judicial system. You cannot have just one branch of government. Pakistan has four. I mean, military is a branch of government in Pakistan. So, in a sense, that may have been the only branch of government that has been in Pakistan. Democracy will succeed in Pakistan if you have the other branches establish themselves. The executive has a role, the media has a very important role, the judiciary has an important role, the legislature has an important role. So if you're going to have a long-term democratic, stable Pakistan, we need to have all these branches function properly and to their effect. The military under the new General Kayani, Musharraf had to finally give up his uniform, seems to be walking away from taking control of the country, which is going to help, which is going to be a big plus. The legislature will elect a new prime minister. Now, the history in Pakistan has been the government has always tried to put its power on the Supreme Court and make it do what it wants. If you have an independent Supreme Court, it'll keep the executive in check. And if you can keep the executive in check, you will have a stable democracy develop in Pakistan. It'll take a few years, but this is an important time to have that democratic seat flourish if we support restoring the judiciary. And otherwise, you will have a judiciary that comes in and does what the government wants. I mean, it's the same, like Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Benazir's Bhutto Prime Minister, was hung in Pakistan.
Yeah.
He was hung by a Supreme Court on a conviction, and this is a Supreme Court that Bhutto had appointed and made him do what he wanted when he was in power. So it kind of backfires on you when you do that. Nawaz Sharif, another Prime Minister who succeeded, actually attacked the Supreme Court when the Supreme Court was going to rule against him. And then he was sacked, by the same Supreme Court. So, do you need a Supreme Court who comes after you when you're no longer in power, or do you need a Supreme Court who keeps you in check while you're in power and that's that's the goal that you have.
Tell us a little bit about the political situation today in Pakistan. We heard that Musharraf's organization, a party, didn't do well. What are the other parties? What parties did do well, and what are the important parties, and where do they stand on issues like alliance with the United States, the war on terrorism, things of interest to the United States?
Well, the parties, the party that gained the most votes in the assembly, National Assembly as it's called in Pakistan, was the Pakistan People's Party, which is Benazir Bhutto's party, who was, Benazir was killed on December 27th. That party gained the most votes. Part of it was a reaction to her, horrible assassination. But they don't have a majority, so they have worked out a coalition with Nawaz Sharif, who's also an ex-prime minister. His party is the Pakistan Muslim League. A lot of parties that call themselves the Pakistan Muslim League. Pakistan Muslim League was a party that had started in India. When Pakistan came into existence, it was the ruling party with the most votes. But then it started splitting up, and every time a prime minister comes in, he calls it Pakistan Muslim League, and Nawaz calls it the N group, and Musharraf's party is called Pakistan Muslim League Q group, the Quaid-e-Azam group. So these two parties are making a coalition. They have agreed that the prime minister is going to be from the Pakistan People's Party, but there's some debate within the Pakistan People's Party as who's going to be the prime minister. Once that prime minister takes into office, I think the policies generally will be towards a pro-Western government, but they will be looking at Pakistan's interests first and not the interest of the United States necessarily. And in some ways, when I say not the interest of the United States, I should really say not the interest of Bush, because I think what Bush is doing is not necessarily in the interest of the United States.
I couldn't agree more. Well, that's encouraging. It looks like Pakistan is back on a road to democracy with these. Now, I understand in the search for a prime minister, Benazir Bhutto's widower, his name is Zardari, I think,
right,
cannot be prime minister because he's not in parliament. But isn't he running for parliament now?
No, he did not run for parliament. The reason he did not run for parliament is because one of the requirements to run for parliament is you have to have be a college graduate.
Oh,
so there was some issue as to whether he is or he is not. So I think that was one of the issues. The other issue also was he's been convicted of a number of things.
Okay,
that's
I'm afraid we're going to have to
do that
bring this to an end. We're out of time. So I want to thank you for watching. This is Straight Talk, brought to you by the Santa Clara County Democratic Club. I want to thank you, Javed, for being with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Okay. Thank you.